Hello, we are the George Snow Scholarship Fund, and what you are about to watch is a presentation on our scholarship application that is now open. There are our contact information that is listed within this presentation. I would suggest you taking a screenshot of that so that if you have any questions during the application process, if you have any issues or problems, you can reach out to any of us and we'll be happy to help you. My name is Leslie Cornwell, and I'm the Vice President of Scholar Services here at the George Snow Scholarship Fund.
My name is Austin Havis, and I'm the Scholar Services Coordinator here at the George Snow Scholarship Fund.
And my name is Bija Muse, and I am also a Scholar Services Coordinator here at the George Snow Scholarship Fund. So now we're going to get into a little bit about the cost of college. Something that we've been realizing from our past scholars is that there hasn't been the great financial decision of where students want to go to college. Now, we're not saying this to discourage anyone from choosing whether to go in-state, stay in-state, or go out of state, but to be financially conscious of that decision and the costs that come with it. One question that is important is how easy is it to get to and from my college from my home address? Can my family afford the cost of traveling to and from my home address? So, do you have a car? Will you be able to afford airfare if you're going out of state? Will you be Ubering? Do you know the public transportation routes to your school? And I have a little story time about this. I was born in Palm Beach County, but I was raised in Rhode Island. Me and my siblings were. And I remember my youngest sister was really adamant about going to Florida Atlantic University. And that is miles away from Rhode Island. Um, and we talked to her about the cost of tuition and just the pricing of school. She was still very adamant about coming to Florida, and she did, but there was a halt in her educational journey because when she came down, she found out that she was going to be considered for out-of-state tuition. If she wanted to be considered for in-state tuition, she would have to live in Florida for at least a year. She didn't want her educational journey to stop, so she ended up going to Palm Beach State College, where it was more affordable. She still got to go out of state, but didn't pursue what she originally wanted. And that's something that we don't want for you all. So we say this so that you are making a financially wise decision on where you want to go to school, whether that is in state or out of state. Another thing to consider is what is the tuition and overall cost of attendance? Would you be classified for in-state or out of state? And also, what are the housing options and meal plan cost? You have to eat. You have to have a place to stay, whether that's on campus or off campus. And then another really, really important question is what is the campus culture like? Something that I think about all the time is I need to get my hair done. I need to make sure that there is someone I can rely on campus or even in the area of the campus that can do my hair. Um, or are there people that look like me on campus because I want to feel like I'm at home? When you go away to college, it gets lonely real fast. You don't get to go with your friends, or, your friends decide to go other places. And so you want to make sure that there are people that you'll be able to connect with, whether it's interest in the same type of groups, whether it's people of the same culture as you. Those are some things you want to be thinking about. Did you know that Florida has 4 accredited historically Black colleges and universities, including Florida A&M University, Florida Memorial University, Bethune-Cookman University, and Edward Waters College? And did you know that Florida has 30 Hispanic serving institutions, and 2 of them are in the top 10 rated HSIs in the country? And those 2 schools are Florida International University and the University of Central Florida. Now, I have another quick story time. I remember when I decided on where I wanted to go to college, they asked for a security deposit. And I remember asking my dad, "Hey, Dad, security deposit is $500." And I remember him telling me, like, "Hey, I don't have that right now." And that was my first experience of what the cost of college would be like. And when I say that, I'm talking about these numbers here. $500, we ended up paying for it, but that was just a step into understanding the different types of costs that come with college. It's not just your tuition and fees, and that's what you will see on the college websites. You still have to pay for a place to live. You still have to pay for books and supplies, and that's out of pocket. You have to pay for transportation. And then again, you have to live and you have to spend money on your personal things. And as you can see in the first column, 25,000, roughly 25,000 is the average for in-state tuition, college expenses. And then you can see that doubles when you're considering out of state. And then when you're considering a private college or university, like the University of Miami, that number is way beyond me. I don't have that type of money. And if you were like me and your parents didn't really save up a lot of money for you while you were in elementary school, middle school, high school, then these are some numbers you want to start thinking about because the costs can get really, really high really fast. So when you're thinking about paying for college, the first thing you need to consider is the FAFSA. The FAFSA opens on December 1st, so you and your parents should create an FSA ID. To be considered for any type of aid, you must start here first. Whether it's scholarships, whether it's institutional scholarships, whether it's grants, whether it's loans, this is what you need to do first. And we recommend that you do not take out loans because they're bad. They will stay with you. Right now, I'm sitting on $15,000 of debt, and I wish I knew sooner that there were other ways to consider for paying for college. Right now, the average monthly payment for a student loan debt is $490 a month. And I know there's so much that we can do with that type of money that, unfortunately for me, I don't get to do because of the financial decision that I made when I was 18. So with that being said, you and your parents should create an FSA ID as soon as today. It takes 3 to 5 days to authenticate, so you want to make sure that you get it done now before December 1st. And then you also want to gather tax information for both you and your parent. You'll need your 2023 tax return, personal financial information for you and your family, and any other information that they will ask. If you delay submitting your FAFSA application, you may receive less aid. The longer you wait to do this, the less money you get. The next thing you should be considering is applying for scholarships, and that's why we're here. We're here to talk to you about scholarships, and I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Austin, who will tell you more about the George Snow Scholarship Fund.
Alrighty, so this is just like my colleague Bija mentioned, this is one of many scholarships that you should be considering. Although we're going to be focusing on George Snow, I want to say without a doubt it's super important that you look at this scholarship as well as all scholarships that are available and attainable to you and pummel out those applications. But a little bit about us, we are entering in our 43rd year of scholarship. It was started in honor of the late George Snow. We provide need-based scholarships to students who want to continue their education beyond high school. It started off as a small scholarship, and we expanded to award over $5 million in scholarships and support services in 2024 alone. awarded over 375 students in 2024, and that total award was over $13,000. With that, I want to specify the average total award, which means that it's not $13,000 a year, but $13,000 total. You might receive, should you get a George Snow scholarship, you might receive more, you might receive less, but it is our team's responsibility to make sure that should you receive a scholarship, we work with you and make sure that we focus on what your need is. And one last thing about it. Palm Beach County Schools, as we all know, is the 10th largest school district in the country. And about this scholarship, it is specifically for you all. And I want to say that despite the fact that Palm Beach County Schools is the 10th largest, we do not receive um, all the seniors that would apply that are in all the schools. Therefore, if we awarded 375 students, but only 1,300 applied last year, I'll let you do the math. Those are really great odds. But let's continue on and talk more about the scholarship. So, if you're watching this, you must be a high school senior. You must attend a high school in Palm Beach County or some select Broward County schools. You must have financial need, but we are not tied to FAFSA. Additionally, there might be some of us that feel that we are priced out of scholarship opportunities because of a GPA or a test score. In this scholarship, in the George Snow Scholarship, we do not have those GPA or test score requirements. This is not a deterrent for you to say that you shouldn't do well in school. However, it's perfectly normal that it's perfectly normal and it's perfectly understandable that it might have just been a situation where the GPA or test scores in your mind, you're not really there. But we do not want you to feel deterred from applying to this scholarship. You should absolutely apply to this scholarship. We look at the holistic applicant. We don't just look at single issue areas, but we look at the strength and vitality of your entire application. Lastly, we accept all citizenship statuses. You cannot be undocumented, but if you're in any part of the citizenship status process here in Florida or in the United States, you are more than welcome to apply. On the first slide, it said something a little bit corny, but it said it is our belief that if you receive a George Snow scholarship, you become part of the Snow family. And to touch on something that's super important is the aspect of a family unit. As a little bit of a story time for myself, when I attended college, I didn't really have that same structural environment that I had in high school. All of my friends wound up going to different schools. I went to my own college, and I didn't know anyone. And one of the biggest contributors to student mental health issues beyond financial stress that Bija touched upon is the aspect of loneliness, not having a group around you. And through our scholar support services, we really, really try to make sure that we are behind you on day one, that you never feel alone. And that starts with access to our Snow Success Career Development Program run by Dr. Natalie Capiro, whose sole job here in the office is to support you throughout your journey to help you prepare for interviews, prepare for your college and career development, for you to practice your mock interviews, to get ready for an internship, to get ready for a job opportunity. She's there to help you through those things and those processes, as well as we have access to emergency funds. These emergency funds might come through when you find yourself in a bind. Bija pointed out to many specific circumstances that personal costs may come in the way of your collegiate experience, and we're here to help you. We also have your choice of a laptop computer or a college supply stipend check that we ask you which one would you rather prefer. The laptop computer is a brand new computer and it's yours to use throughout your entire 4 years. You don't have to give it back. It is yours. Or the college supply stipend check, which is the only time that we will ever write a check to you in your name. But it is a check that you could use to get us started and get ahead. We also have appointment-based mental health and guidance resources for you. We have college supply gift bags, college physicals and meningitis vaccinations, our annual care packages, which is actually going on right now, but I'm not going to give any of that away. We also have Monday motivational messages, professional senior portraits, access to our scholar closet for those who are considering going upstate or out of state. It gets cold and it gets chilly. So members of the community come around and they actually donate to our scholar closet in which you can come and get free and gently used free, new and gently used clothing that you could take with you, and it's yours. You don't have to give it back, and it's not like you're loaning any clothes. But for those who need suits and need the full wardrobes for those interviews or those job opportunities, that's where that Scholar Closet comes in handy. We have so many options available. We get shipments all the time. So when you become a Snow Scholar, you come free and come ready to check it out. We also have Snow Family Masterclasses, and lastly, our LinkedIn networking group, because there's something that you will learn very quickly in your college experience. Nothing is more important than networking, and that why not on day one get access to our Snow Family LinkedIn networking group, where you will meet and be able to network with over 200 active scholars and alumni, some who may attend your school. So you could already build those connections early. So when you start your school, you already have a group behind you. You can go to the next slide. But why else should you apply? Duration. We support students during their entire educational journey, whether you're going for 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, or 4 years. If you're going through a specific trade or specialization program, which I'll get into in a minute, we support you whatever major or areas of study that you wish to prefer. And lastly, as long as it's accredited, we'll support you in going to all accredited colleges, university, vocational schools. It may be your choice whether, oops, uh, it may be your choice whether you want to attend PBSC for 2 years and then transfer. We support transfers as well. But now we can go to the next slide. For those that may feel disaffected from the traditional college experience, this scholarship also branched out to develop a new workforce initiative. It is easy for us to say, I'm not going to go to college and I'm going to graduate and I'm going to start working. That is an option available to you, but I want to give you a warning on that and speak it directly to those who may feel that that's what their options are right now. You can do that and work from the bottom up. That is a plan that's going to take you a lot of time, a lot of energy. If you're going to do that, you might as well go ahead and make sure that you start on a strong foot. And that's where we partnered with the Carl Angus DeSantis Foundation for students aiming to establish themselves within the workforce or trade profession. In 2024, the partnership awarded over $200,000 in scholarships to 21 scholarship recipients enrolled in various 2-year, 4-year, and credential or trade programs. 2024 scholarship recipients enrolled in various pathways, including automotive, computer science, EMT and fire, nursing, sonography, and more. We even had a scholar that wanted to go into cosmetology and barbering. What the point is, what we're trying to make here is that if you want to graduate and you want to get working, at least get a little bit of a step ahead of the game by specializing in the trade that you wish to go upon. In 2025, we seek to expand scholarship eligibility to include additional education and technology-related pathways. So that leads us to our next point. Our applications are now open and they run until February 1st, 2025 at 11:59 p.m. You could feel free to scan the QR code, but a little bit of note on this is that just like an application to your college or university or trade program that you wish to apply to, once that February 1st, 2025 deadline hits, there's nothing else we could do for you. You must make sure that you take your time on this application. I'll get into a little bit of that in a second, but you want to make sure you get it in before that deadline. Can't tell you how many people wind up calling and texting saying that they can't access the application on the last day because they procrastinated and they waited too long. Don't put yourself in that position. Make sure that you take your time with it, but you get it done before that deadline. Additionally, you want to make sure that you sign up with an email you will check regularly. And do not sign up with a school emails address, whether it's the Palm Beach School's email address or your Broward School's email address. If you ignore this crucial step, our emails will bounce because Palm Beach County and Broward County have firewalls. It's super important that you sign up with that personal email because our interview notifications and award notifications will be sent to it. You must read and complete all 3 sections of the application before the closing date, and it's accessible on all devices. You could start on a phone, continue on a computer, and end on a tablet. You could additionally save at any time and come back to it later, and most importantly, you do not need to complete the application all in one day. You could feel free to take your time with it, just get it done before the deadline. The first part of the application is going to ask you about colleges and majors. Filling in the first college field is required. Filling in colleges fields 2 and 3 are optional. But here's a hint to stay ahead of the game. Don't list colleges you have not applied to or been denied from. A denial from a college or university is not a reflection of you. It is the poor decision making of that college or university by not investing in you, and it doesn't deserve a place on your application. Your application is your brag sheet, and you want to make sure you're putting your best foot forward. With that, when you list that you have not applied to any school, when the application closes and you submit the application without changing those statuses, then people who will be reviewing your application are going to see that you have not applied because you've kind of frozen it in time. You might be already accepted into a program, but they're just going to see that you have not applied. You do not want to do that. So therefore, only list schools that you have been applied to or you've been accepted to. You can also list multiple major, minors, areas of study, and if you're unsure, you can feel free to write undecided. The second part of the first part of the application is going to ask you about extracurriculars. You can list as many extracurriculars as you can in these fields, but don't stress. We want to emphasize that work experience, school and volunteer activities, and awards are not required. But if you have them, this is where you want to put them. Whether it's your internships, part-time or full-time jobs, your school activities, if you're part of an organization, we want to know about it. And a little bit more about this is that you'll get a chance to explain what you did in those activities and bands, clubs, sports, JROTC, and more. Don't just list that you were a member of an organization, or if you're in a leadership position, don't just list that you were in a leadership position. Tell us something that you did that you're proud of, something that you accomplished. Maybe you improved something within your program. This is a perfect place for you to write about that. Just like with the awards and honors, we want to hear about that. Any award, nomination, or certification you received inside or outside of school, it's fine to list them. If you received a certification as part of your involvement in a program, this is a perfect place for you to put it, and they should be there, especially if you earn any certifications, licensing, or more. You're going to want to make sure you put that on there. We tend to lose people around this area, but I'm here to talk to you a little bit about essays. Your essays, unlike an essay for your art class, your history class, or your English class, this essay is asking about you. There are 2 essays on the application, but they're asking about you. They want to talk about your goals and plans for your education and future career. What would you like to study and why? Where would you like to attend school and why? And how does your major relate to your future career? A little bit about this. If you take the time in yourself to just ask yourself a couple of questions related to this application, you could find yourself talking about yourself and your future plans very simply and very easily. You want to make sure that that translates to what you're writing in your essay. Additionally, you want to tell us more about you in your personal characteristics essay by sharing an experience, challenge, or accomplishment that has shaped who you are. Now, one thing that we want to say is that you can reuse essays from other college and scholarship applications, but most importantly, they must be your own work. We understand that artificial intelligence, such as ChatGPT, is a resource available to you. But I want to give you a fair warning. As someone who is fully aware of ChatGPT and its capabilities, or other AI and its capabilities, you may find yourself saying, why can't I just take this prompt and put it in there and write it for me? I'm here to tell you why that's a mistake. Across your entire essay, scholarship application, you will be writing in your own natural manner. You will be writing in the ways that you express yourself. And utilizing ChatGPT to do your work for you will drastically look different than what you've written in other areas of the application. If something looks different, that's going to look different to you. If something looks different to you, it's going to look different to a reviewer as well. And that reviewer then is going to have to face some questions within themselves saying, did they actually write this essay? If something looks like a student wrote it and something looks like a robot wrote it, because as we all know, AI is cyclical and it just repeats itself over time. How does that help you? If you're going to use AI as a resource, you want to make sure you use it the right way. You want to make sure that these essays are your own work. And lastly, can't stress this enough, have multiple eyes on your essays. It doesn't hurt to get a parent, a teacher, support staff at your school involved. You want to make sure you put your best foot forward when you're applying for this application and all applications.
So the second part of our application, you're going to see a bunch of what seem to look like random yes/no questions. And I want you to understand that you could say no to every one of these questions and still be eligible for up to 4 scholarships with this application. The way our program works is that we have donors that come in and say, I want to help someone go to school, and there's no restrictions on the funds. And that's our unrestricted fund pool. Then we have donors that come in and say, well, I also want to help somebody go to school next year, but I have a restriction on my scholarship. That's why you will see questions that begin with these majors. We have donors that come in that are looking for students who are studying in specific fields. You can see here, they range from aviation, business, healthcare, performing arts, a whole gamut of different areas. But a lot of the other questions are going to seem way more random. Do your parents work at a specific location? Did you attend a specific middle school? Are you first generation? And a lot of times students don't understand or don't know if they actually are first generation. So I do want to let you know that you qualify as first generation if neither of your parents received a 4-year bachelor degree in the United States. So this doesn't matter if you have siblings that are in school. It doesn't matter if one of your parents is currently in school, or if they received a bachelor's degree in another country, or if they received an associate's degree here in this country. Unless one of them received a bachelor's degree here, you are considered first generation. That's not only a question on our application, but just a little FYI. Most college campuses have a first generation office that has a ton of resources available to you on campus. I think most students don't take advantage of that because they're not even aware that they are first generation. So I just want to point that out. But you will see a bunch of random questions. I don't want you to be concerned if none of them apply to you. If, however, one or more of them do apply, then you want to say yes, because now you are going to be considered for that restricted scholarship, and the applicant pool is much smaller. Now, we have students that receive a combination of unrestricted scholarships and restricted, solely unrestricted, or solely restricted. You're not doing this application trying to apply for a specific scholarship. You're doing the application, and we are trying to find the right fit for you. And I do want to point out that the way that our process works is that we have about 140 people in the community who are reading and scoring your application 5 times. And then we will drop the lowest score, and the average of your 4 remaining scores is your application score. So this application and how well you do it will affect your progress in this process, because the next step is to receive an interview. And if you don't receive an interview, then that's the end of the road. I like to tell students that they should be treating this scholarship application, and quite frankly, any scholarship application and any college application, but you should be treating it as if it's an application for you to go to your dream school. If you could go to any school you wanted to go to and there was nothing holding you back, money wasn't an issue, your family wasn't an issue, the location was not a problem, but the school said you have to do a good job on the application. If you need money for school, that is how you should be handling this application. You should not be rushing it. You should make sure it's not sloppy. These people who are reviewing the application do not know you. They know nothing about who you are, what kind of person you are. So it's really important that you take the time to give them the best picture of yourself. When Austin was talking about that extracurricular section, think outside the box. Like, what are things that you've been doing that weren't necessarily on your school campus, but like that you can really brag about yourself? This is the opportunity to do it. And this is when it matters. Reference letters are optional. You are not going to get penalized if you do not have any uploaded. You can upload up to 3. If you ask somebody to write a reference letter for you and they say that they're not going to give it to you, here's one of those times that you should be taking a screenshot or having our contact information at hand for you, because you can give them one of our email addresses. They will email it to us, and once the application closes and you no longer have access to it, then we will upload it into your application. But here's what I'm going to say about reference letters. The reviewers like them. And the reason the reviewers like them is that it tells them something about yourself that you are not saying. You're not going to write in your application, "I'm such a hard worker," or whatever it is. They're all positive. And the reviewers like being able to read something about you that just furthers your story. And so if you can, I would definitely try to get at least one. We don't care who it's from. It can be from a teacher, a counselor, a boss, a coach, a family friend, somebody in the neighborhood. The only people you should not be using, because it's not proper, is a fellow classmate and your family members. Other than that, you can use whomever you want. Now, the whole final section of our application deals with financial questions. As Bijou was saying at the beginning, or Austin, excuse me, one of the only eligibility we have is that there's financial need. So even though we don't have a set income limit that your parents can't make beyond, we do have to get financial information. I'm not asking anybody to upload a tax return. You're just manually answering these questions, but you are not going to know the answers to any of them. There is a section for your father, for your mother, to have income information that you're inputting. If you do not have a relationship with one or both, there is the appropriate place to mark that. There's going to be information on, do they own a home? Do they rent a home? What is the home's value? What's in their savings account? These kind of things. And then, as you can see from this little graphic, there's a few questions on a tax return. Again, if you wait until the last minute and you're trying to submit this application right before the deadline and you don't have anybody that can give you this information, you're going to have a problem. So this is another reason why I wouldn't wait until the last minute to try to get some of these questions answered. This is our timeline. You need to remember these dates. I would put them in your phone so you don't forget them, because on March 31st, you are going to get one of 3 emails. You're going to get an email that says, "Congratulations, you have received an interview. Click this link to sign up for an interview date and time. Click this other link to complete the Google form. You have a week." Now, if you do not respond, we will try to give you one reminder. And if you still haven't responded by the deadline date, then you will lose your interview slot and it will go to somebody on the waiting list. And that is option number 2. You can get an email that says you are on the waiting list. Click this link to fill out the Google form. A note of importance: if you get on the waiting list on March 31st, do the paperwork on March 31st, because people are going to be pulled off the wait list first come, first serve. So if you sit around and you wait until almost a week later when the deadline's coming and you do your paperwork then, chances are you're going to have a lot of people ahead of you and you may not get reached. But generally, we are pulling a lot of people off the wait list who have done their paperwork, and those people will go into our main interviews. Our interviews take place in April. They are in person. We have some interviews that will take place at our offices in East Boca after school ends for certain restricted scholarships. And then we have 2 main days of interviews, tentatively April 28th and April 29th. The interviews start at 3:20 and they run every 20 minutes, and the last interview time slot is 8:40. I usually get asked in presentations, well, what would I get asked if I actually get an interview? And I'm letting you know, if you get an interview, we will send you a packet that will give you sample questions that you may be asked and tips on how to dress for the interview and things like that. So don't worry about that. That will be coming if you get an interview. We have multiple teams, so there will be a lot of students coming in for each of those time slots. Again, if you sit around and don't sign up for an interview date until right before that deadline, and then there's not a time that you like, then I can't really do anything about that. When you get communication from us, you should treat it that it is very important information and immediately act upon it. Then you will find out on May 16th if you are getting the scholarship, and that will be a very important award packet with a lot of information. It's going to have the computer specs. So it was on that list of support services that you could get a brand new computer or a college supply stipend check. Whichever one you choose, you're going to get after our orientation. That's one of 2 mandatory dates. We have an orientation on June 12th. It will be at Palm Beach State in Boca. And it's usually around 8:30 to 2:30. We feed you lunch, and then at the end of it, you get your large rolling duffel bag that's full of goodies for you, your college supply gift bag. And then on June 14th, we have our award ceremony. It will be at Lynn University. They have a beautiful theater. You get dressed up. You can bring 2 guests. You're going to be called on stage. And the whole purpose of this is for you to meet your donor or donors, so you can express gratitude to them for helping you out, and they get to meet who they are going to be helping out. So it's a really nice occasion. So in closing, I just want to encourage you to please apply. This is an amazing program. You can see how much we do for our scholars besides scholarship money. And these are not small scholarships. So if you need funding, there is no reason for you not to be applying to this scholarship. If you have any problems or any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. In the meantime, we hope you have an amazing senior year, and we wish you the best of luck.